How many Popeye the Sailor fans in this house? Okay, that tells your age. You're like 40. Okay, how many Incredible Hulk fans in this room? Only one. That's Rami. Okay. How many Superman fans in this house? Like 2, right? Okay. How many Batman fans in the house? Wow, that's a little louder. Okay. It's getting louder here. How many Spidey fans in the house? Like 3 again. Okay. We all love superheroes. That's pretty much about it. And we all have grown up with a superhero in our lives. Am I right? Right? Who is your favorite superhero? I don't know who is your favorite superhero, but I know who's my favorite superhero. His name is Justin. Right? Yeah, he's my favorite superhero. I mean, some of you are wondering who is Justin. That's Bieber I'm talking about, right? He is my favorite superhero, okay? You can't tell me what I should like, okay? I like what I like, okay? How many of you like to become a superhero in the house? How many of you like to become a superhero? Like 2 people? 3 people? 4, 5? Okay, we have quite a few number here, right? And what if I say today, I have the secret for you to become a superhero? Would you like to hear that? Like 2 people again? Okay, right? Today within next 30 minutes, my duty or what I'm going to do is basically tell you how to become a superhero, right? I have the secret in my hands, right? I have these mystical powers and, I'm going to just put it out there today. So, you better listen to me. You better give all your attention. If you don't have any, collect some from your neighbor and say, neighbor, give me some attention. I need it tonight because I'm going to just focus on this preacher and I'm going to hear what he has to say because I want to become a superhero. That's it. That's it all about. Okay, first look at who is a superhero. Who is a superhero? Pretty simple. Superhero is a person in the face of danger and adversity or from a position of weakness display courage. Okay? And is will for self-sacrifice. Is willing to even give his life for others. Right? And is always considering the greater good of the humanity as in whole. That's a superhero basically. Okay? What does superhero do? We just looked at a clip of Spidey, my favorite superhero, right? And we just look at what he just did. But what do they normally do? As we saw in the clip, superheroes shows up when you're going through the situation that is beyond you. Superheroes shows up when you're going through a situation that is beyond you. Right? And some great force is trying to destroy you and the humanity. And you're fighting against this greater force. And you come to the end of yourself. And everyone has failed. And all your strength is gone. You're about to, lose. And you're about to be destroyed. And guess what? That's the point. A superhero shows up. Right? That's the duty of a superhero. Right? And that's what superheroes do. Right? I'm going to tell you a story about a young boy. A young boy had troubled childhood. He went through life challenges, including losing his parents, both parents on a plane crash at a very young age. His father's elder brother and his wife adopted this young boy, and they decided to, keep him with them. This young boy had a problem because he was like, he was trying to get the approval of his new parents, and he was doing everything possible to win their approval and win their, love for him, and so he's working hard. He had a very troubled childhood. In school, the teachers liked him, liked the young boy because he was a brilliant student and did all the assignments and handed them over in time. But other students had a little time for this know-it-all, puny little guy, right? The girls thought he was too quiet and the guys thought he was a wimp, right? And in fact, because he was very shy and some of his classmates misinterpreted his silence for snobbery, right? He had trouble making friends, but never stopped trying to make friends. He often invited other students to join him at science exhibits or for monster movies, but they usually respond with ridicule, and almost never asked him to join with them when they are going out. Does it sound familiar? Do you know whom I'm talking about? Any guesses? Sorry? Oh yeah, that's Spider-Man. That's him, right? That's his childhood story, right? Just want to lay it out to you because, these stories are fictional, we know. These superheroes don't exist. They are fictional. But the truth about these stories are that they are written by real people like you and me. And these real people create character probably because they had a similar situation in their lives. They went through the similar childhood. So they decided to write a story about their childhood, right? And create a character for that. And their answer to those problems that they went through is to give some superpowers to these characters, right? So these, superheroes came to exist with these superpowers. And we all like superheroes. You know why? Because we want that power. We want that power that these people have. We want to see that power and we want to experience that power. We go through similar situations in life and then when we want to get out of those situations, we remember how Spidey reacted or Superman reacted and we want the similar power in our lives. And that's why we love superheroes. But what I want to tell you is this. What I like about Spidey is this. Spidey is not someone who fell from sky and all of a sudden he became a superhero, right? He was not born superhero. He was made to become a superhero, right? So I want to lay something with you tonight. I want to say this up front, right? Superheroes are not born. They are made. Are you getting what I'm saying? So far, are you with me? If you're with me, just shout out loud. Scream, scream. Yeah, that's better, right, okay. So far you're with me, okay. So superheroes are not born, but they are made, okay. We have established that fact by now, right. Listen to me, young people, we all know these guys that we just talked about, they don't exist in life, right. But as I said, the truth of the matter is that superheroes are not born, but they are made. I remember a story about a guy going into a village, and he went to this village and spoke to the elders of the village, and he asked this question. His question was, from the elders, is any heroes born in this village? And the elder kind of thought for a while, and he said, well, only babies are born in this village, not heroes. Again, I want to tell you that none of us are born hero. None of us are born superheroes, but we are made to become one. And what I'm establishing this fact is that any one of you in this place, you have the potential to become a superhero. You have the potential to become a superhero. Even though these stories that we just saw, including Spidey, is fictional, but I'm going to take you to today a story that is real, right? It happened back in time. It is recorded by an eyewitness in his journal, eventually made it to what we call God's Word. Okay? And this story is found in Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 to 33. I'm going to ask Rami to put the words up. As the words comes up, I want you to follow the words. I'm going to read it I'm going to read it with you. Verse 22, immediately Jesus made the disciples to get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. While he dismissed the crowd, after he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It is a ghost! It is a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it is you," Peter replied, "tell me to come on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, Lord, save me. Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly, you are the Son of God. In this story, we read about Jesus and his disciples. And what I wanted to tell you is this. Just before this scene happened, right, Jesus actually fed 5,000 men, the Bible says, the Word of God says, right? He just fed 5,000 people. And men, that means probably about 18,000 people altogether. He just fed them with his disciples. And then the story says he dismissed everyone, all the crowd, and he got his disciples to get into a boat, and he wanted them to go to the other side. As they were traveling this 8-kilometer distance lake going into the other side, Jesus actually climbed into the mountain for a time of prayer. And around 3 a.m. in the morning, the boat was traveled only about 6 kilometers. By this time, boat has been on the lake for about 6 to 9 hours, they say. For 6 to 9 hours, I'm sure you can row more than 6 kilometers. Are you with me? You can. But for some reasons, the disciples couldn't make the 8 kilometers for 6 to 9 hours. What's going on here? They have a problem with the weather. The wind is so strong. The rain is just pouring down. The waves are coming into the boat. And they were just struggling to go forward. But 10 meters when they row, 20 meters they are put back by the wind. So they have lost all their energy. Come on, think about it. For 6 to 9 hours, they have been rowing on this boat to get to the other side. And it's almost, they have lost all their energy. They have come to the end of themselves. And they are like almost, as the waves breaking into the boat, they are sinking. And they are about to die. I'm going to die. They're about to die. They're just going to die. And they've come to the end of themselves. Sounds like a good place for a superhero to show up. Is that right? Guess what happened? That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Like you saw that, spider clip, right? When you are going through the problems, when you are finding your situation hard, when you come to the end of yourself, when you have lost all your energy, then the superhero shows up. Even though it's fictional, here is a real story. Here is a real problem. When you are going through the life problem, when you are going through the hardest time of your life, where you come to your end and say, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm going to just, die. And all you're going to do is cry out, Jesus. And guess what? The superhero shows up. And he's right there, walking on the water. Wow. Guys, have you ever seen someone walking on the water? Anyone here? I would like to personally, talk to you and learn more about this thing. Anyone has seen someone walking on the water? Hey, speak to me. You can speak back to me, right? You know that. Anyone? Have you seen? Yes or no? Come on. You're too silent today. Yes or no? Yeah, that's right. We have never seen someone walking on the water. Now, disciples, they just saw this sight, someone walking on the water, Jesus. Even if you have a GPS system to direct you to a place, it could have, you can't get that accuracy. Jesus knew exactly where the boat was, and he was just walking on the water. And he was calmly strolls from one wave to another wave. One 8-foot wave to another 8-foot wave. It was just calmly strolling down to the boat. And these guys saw this, and the story tells us they were terrified. I'm sure you would have been terrified if you're out there in the pitch dark, 3 o'clock in the morning, about to die. You just want to die. That's all you want to do because you have lost all your energy. And then you see someone walking on the water towards you. How will you react? Man, it's that terrified. They're completely terrified by the sight. And you know what their response was? Yeah, that's pretty much the response any one of us will have. It's a ghost. It's a ghost. That's what they screamed. It's a ghost, ghost, ghost. What are we going to do? It's a ghost. We are about to die, but now we are in the hands of a ghost. What are we going to do here? They're screaming and shouting. And then they heard a voice. The voice said, "Chill out, it's me. Chill out, guys, it's me." Right? And they exactly knew the voice because they have heard this voice so many times. And again, when they heard the voice, they knew whose voice was that, and they knew it was Jesus. And also he said, "Don't be afraid," because that's exactly what they were going through. Fear in life. When you go through those problems in your life, when you go through those hard times, when you face the storms, you are, crippled by fear. And Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. Chill out, guys. I'm here. Don't be afraid." All 12 disciples heard Jesus' voice. They calmed down because they knew the superhero has arrived. And now situation will be brought under control. But we noticed something strange happening in this place. Something that has never happened in the history of humanity is about to happen right now in this place. And I hope you notice when you read this story. The story goes to tell us something that we have never heard or never seen happening as a human. In fact, there are 3 Gospels record this story. That is Gospel of John, Mark, and Matthew. But only Matthew tells us this part of the story. And he's telling there was one disciple out of the 12, the loudmouth guy, Peter. He said, "Lord, if it is you." Said, "Lord, if it is you." Out of the 12, one had the courage and he knew whom he belonged to. The second truth that I want to lay in your heart and your spirit this evening is this. It doesn't matter who you are, but it does matter whose you are. It doesn't matter who you are, but it does matters whose you are. It does matter whose you are. Peter knew if it is Jesus who is walking on the water, then Jesus can enable him to do what he was doing. So Peter said, "Lord, if it is you." Lord, if it is you. By this time, Peter has seen so many miracles because he hung out with Jesus for 3 years. As he was hanging out with Jesus, with all the other disciples, he saw so many things. Jesus is the one who healed Peter's mother-in-law supernaturally. If you can heal my mother-in-law supernaturally, then you can get me to also to walk on the water. Lord, if it is you who healed the person with leprosy, then you can get me also to walk on the water. Lord, if it is you who healed the paralytic, then you can ask me also to walk on the water. Lord, if it is you who cured the man with the withered hand, and then you can also ask me to walk on the water. Lord, if it is you who healed the centurion's son by a word, then you can ask me. I can also walk in the water. Lord, if it is you who calmed the stormy sea, then you can also ask me to walk on the water. Lord, if it is you who raised the dead, healed the possessed, fed the 5,000 just before we got into the boat. If that's you, then you can ask me to come and I can walk on the water. The amazing part of the story is this. Peter and the rest of the disciples was hanging out with Jesus when Jesus performed all these miracles. Now it is their moment to experience the miracle. Guess what? Out of the 12, only one had the guts to say, if it is you, ask me to come. All 12 didn't respond, by the way. If you want to become a superhero, then you better hang out with the superhero. If you want to be a superhero, then you better hang out with the superhero. Okay? Peter was able to do the impossible at this point because he was hanging out with one who always did the impossible. And that was Jesus. Someone said, if you want to fly like an eagle, stop hanging out with crows. If you want to fly like an eagle, stop hanging out with crows. If you want to, become a superhero, then you better hang out with the superhero. That's the only way that you can become a superhero. Peter knew only Jesus has the power to enable him to do so. Jesus is the Lord of the winds and the waves. With the other disciples, while the other disciples only saw the miracle of Jesus walking on the water, only Peter wanted to experience the miracle by himself by walking on the water. Are you getting what I'm saying tonight? I hope you're with me so far. Everyone else saw Jesus walking on the water. But here Peter is saying, I want to experience this. I want to step out into the water. Right? That's the cool part about him. That's the cool part about him. Right? I want the verse 28 and 29 to come back again on the screen. Verse 28 and 29. Rami is doing a great job. He's ahead of me. Lord, if it is you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. And what was the response from Jesus? Jesus was not an insecure person like any other superhero you find on this earth or fictional stories talk about. He was not insecure about giving his power to anyone. He was not insecure about someone having the same power. In fact, the Word of God tells us He wants us to do greater things than He did. And that's the kind of a superhero we have. And that superhero says this. When Peter said, Lord, if it is you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. He said, come. There is nothing else. He didn't say anything else. He said, just come. And then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. Not a single human has ever done this act even to date. And there was one person, one of the disciples, because he dared, because he had the audacity to challenge the King of Kings to say, if it is you, then ask me to come. And I can step in if you give me a word. To Jesus, Lord, if it is you, tell me to come. That's exactly what he was saying. And like I said, Jesus' response was very simple, come. Another thing I want to leave it with you this evening is that if you want to experience the supernatural, then you better start stepping out of the natural. We see here Peter want to experience the supernatural. When he wants to experience the supernatural, he have to get out of the boat that is natural, step into the water that is supernatural. Right? And if you are saying, I want to become a superhero, if you are saying one day I want to make a difference in this world, then you better get out of the natural, walk into the supernatural with your God, with Jesus. And that's the only way you will see, supernatural happening in your life. I strongly believe that in the life journey, we are going to face problems. I don't need to tell you that. You're going to face many problems. You're going to have the storms that, we just, these disciples. You're going to have many storms coming your way. Life is not fair. It will throw all kinds of challenges to us. But remember, it doesn't matter who you are, but it does matter whose you are. It doesn't matter who you are, but it does matter whose you are. Peter was just another fisherman, doing his thing every day, going to the sea and just, catching fish and coming back home and living his life comfortably. That's who Peter was. But it doesn't matter who he was. It doesn't matter what background he came from. But what matter here is whose is Peter. Peter belongs to Jesus. If you belong to Jesus, at the point you are sinking, you can just cry out. And the superhero, Jesus, will just be there to rescue you. Not only He will rescue you, but if you dare to have the powers of Jesus in your life and seeing working through your life, all you got to do is say, Lord, if it is you, Lord, if it is you, ask me so that I will be able to do what you're doing. In fact, as you said in your words, I'll be able to do greater things than you have done. Peter was an ordinary fisherman who discovered extraordinary abilities because of his connection to Jesus. And the theme was that. Ordinary people discovering extraordinary abilities. Ordinary people discovering extraordinary abilities. And Jesus was an ordinary fisherman who discovered extraordinary powers because he knew Jesus. This evening we are starting a new segment called On the Topic with Reach. Right? We are going to just interview personalities. For every month, whatever the topic that we come up with, we will interview one personality and we will feature the personality at the service. And this evening we spoke to someone you might know, that is Julian Bolling. And we had an interview with him on the topic. You know, something that struck me while I was talking to Julian was, he is not just a person who was able to go to Olympics 3 times. Probably he might be the only person in Sri Lanka who was able to do that back to back, 84, 88 and 92, right? But that was amazing. That in itself will make him a hero. But what amazes me about his life is what he's doing right now, right? He has decided to give back, and because of his connection, he knows who he belongs to, right? And because he knows who he's belonged to, he knows that he can tap into the power so that he can give back through his life. And so many children, like you heard, about 30,000 children learned, after tsunami, where they were touched by the work that they're doing. And even now, as I was catching up last week, he was just coming back from a training, and he's training the national team right now. He's so busy. I actually wanted him to come for tonight and do this live, but in fact, because of his busyness, we have to do the way we did it on the video. But by the way, tonight, I hope you're getting the message. I hope you are seeing something here, right? Every ordinary person can discover the extraordinary abilities if you know whom you're connected to. And this evening, I want to just help you to connect with this person that I'm talking about if you are not connected. Some of you are already connected. If you are connected, then I'm going to ask you to go the next step. That is, like Peter, you need to say this evening, you need to tell God, tell Jesus, if it is you, then ask me to come.